two things I really want to get to. These were Ant-specific topics I want to make sure we get to today. Our first one's brought to us by Game Time. Have you ever decided last minute to head to the ball game with your friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly realize you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Game Time comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. Game Time makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to first pitch, and they've got some incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. Just download the Game Time app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. So Anthony is our music expert on the show. He's been to more concerts than I bet the rest of us have combined.
Probably.
So I asked Ant to come up with some musical comparisons for some of the current Browns players.
Ooh. Oh, I thought you were going to ask him musical comparisons for members of the show. I thought that would be good.
Oh, I can do that too.
You can do that on the fly at the end. But
do that.
Ant came up with 7, and he's going to sell them to us, and we have to decide whether or not, that
we're buying or
comparison
selling.
makes sense, or if Ant's on crack.
Anthony, will I have heard of any of these bands?
Yeah, I tried. So I did my best to keep it as stuff that I knew, but was also somewhat mainstream.
Yeah.
If you should know at least 3 of these out of the 7.
All right.
I can guarantee one.
Is it emos?
It's a little mix of everything. I stuck to my genres that I know the best.
Yeah, all right. Let's just give this a shot.
Yeah, these are Anthony's Browns to band comparisons. Ant,
right.
The floor is yours for your first one.
So, Mike, the first one is Joe Flacco here. So, Joe Flacco is Metallica. You know exactly what they're going to be. They're past their primes, but they're still at like an acceptable level where if you go to a concert or you watch them play football, you're like, yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed that, and I'm glad he's there. And their retirement's got to be imminent, whatever that word is that I wrote out myself. If they retired tomorrow, I don't think anybody would really bat an eye at Joe Flacco retiring. It'd be sad if Metallica hung it up because they're still performing at quite a level. I just saw them in May.
Yeah.
But I don't think it would be the end of the world for the scene if Metallica decided to stop performing live shows. So that's my comparison for these 2.
Yeah. I like that one.
I do too.
That's a good one.
Have you ever had an intimate retirement?
Intimate retirement.
What do you mean? I mean,
spelling's hard. Pronouncing words is hard.
Hey, you retire somebody intimately?
when I quit the radio station, we went out for dinner that night.
Oh, okay. That's all right.
Was it candlelit?
I was thinking about something else.
No, it wasn't candlelit.
You quit. You took them on a date and quit.
That's wild work.
We're done.
I'm going to give Anthony an 8 out of 10
I like
for
that
that.
one.
My only beef with the Metallica comparison, I think overall it's good, but I think Metallica is higher on the pantheon of bands than Joe Flacco is on the pantheon of quarterbacks. Because they're a Hall of Fame band.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco's not a Hall of Fame quarterback.
I mean,
That's true.
That's my only beef with the comparison.
Most bands, though, that go that long, they're going to be in the Hall of Fame, right?
True,
so,
but Metallica is, they were like the founders of heavy metal in a way. Like they were the
thrash metal
first,
specifically, yeah.
they were the first big heavy metal band, no?
I mean, it
What
depends
you
on
wanna-
what you define as heavy metal. They're technically thrash metal is where they came out of.
Pantera.
Listen,
Yeah.
Downbag
when
Daryl,
I was a
rest
kid,
in
there was
peace.
no such thing as thrash metal, Anthony.
Well, then they invented it. That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
Yeah, there
so
you go.
if you invent a
But you're
style,
right, yeah, that's a fair comparison.
I just say Joe Flacco, and but your breakdown's good. I get the comparison, I like it, but
I don't know if there's another band playing right now that you
It's
can compare
tough.
to Joe Flacco
It's tough,
because
yeah.
if they're as mid as Joe Flacco, they're probably not going to
yeah,
go
but
as
not
high.
even mid. Joe's better than mid,
Yeah.
but he's somewhere in between Hall of
he
Fame and
seems
mid.
like an emo type. Like
You think Joe Flacco listens to emo music?
Like he
I'm gonna bet against
he
that.
listens to Soundgarden.
All right,
All right,
that was
Soundgarden
pretty
might have
good
been
though.
more.
I like that.
He's
I like
got
this
7,
exercise.
Ant. Let's get to your
This next one's going to take a little bit more explaining because I'm sure
Okay.
you guys haven't heard of these guys. But the next one is Deontay Johnson and Asking Alexandria. Asking Alexandria is one of the founders of metalcore in like early 2010 metalcore. Me and my brother love them. We listen to them all the time. The highs are great. Some of their albums have absolutely no skips. The lows on their music, they're some of the roughest, and it's all because of that guy right there. Danny, their lead He's got personality
I
issues.
thought that was the same picture as the Metallica picture.
No, Danny right there has some personality issues, and as of May and
Yeah.
April, they're still playing live together. He's rejoined the band. They've done 2 records together. They cannot get back to the point that they were at before he left the band the first time, and they're trying hard. They've had to issue apologies because Danny's just not even trying to sing at live shows. When I saw them in May, I thought it sounded bad. It turns out he just wasn't even singing. He had a big hood on and just was mumbling into the microphone. And I think Deontay is kind of right about there, a little bit higher than them in his career. He's on his last leg here with the Browns. He's got something to prove. And I think looking at his numbers when he was on the Steelers, the high was high. But once he went and started bouncing around those teams, man, the low was really low. And I don't know if he'll get back to what he was.
I like that one.
That's fair.
Listen, that was a good scheme. That's a good way to tell that story.
I spent 4 hours on this yesterday.
That was dope.
I tried to
I
record
have no
on this
problem
topic.
with that.
I'll give that an 8.5 out of 10 because
dope.
I've never heard of the band.
Which is fair. I didn't think they'd be
So,
somebody you
my
would.
only problem with the highs is that Deontay Johnson's highs weren't that high. But then again,
all
I never
right.
heard of this
Also,
band.
But right.
The man was second team All Pro.
Yeah, and asking Alexandria
I
when
think
it comes...
he was. What? Am I wrong on that?
That's kind of high.
no.
That's kind of high,
I
Ty.
feel like he was All Pro
I
once.
think you're-
Maybe he was a Pro Bowler. Maybe that's what it was.
What?
You know what?
Yeah.
He was an all-pro returner, bro.
I knew it was. I knew he made an All Pro
Not
team.
as a wide receiver, though.
Hey,
but all right.
I like-
He was all
I
right.
And asking Alexandria, like, if you look at early 2010 metalcore, I'd
Yeah.
still put, like, Avenged Sevenfold, Bullet for My Valentine, and things like that above them, but they're right there. Like, they're just right there at their
All right,
highest.
I
I like
like
it.
that because now I got to get in this time machine and look up some of these stuff.
I send Travis
some of
music.
this
I'll send
lore.
you some.
That's a-
Emo.
All right.
Yeah, they're
next
a
up,
little bit
Mike.
more emo on this.
All right, this next one, Ant, you're going to have to really sell this one. I like the comp, but it's a rookie.
It is a rookie, but this one was my projection. I think Carson Sweetinger is going to be great, and Cohen and Camry is my favorite band of all time. So that comparison doesn't really match out, but looking at his numbers and watching his film, he's got a versatile skill set, right? Like, he was good at the rush, he was good at stopping the run, and he dropped back, and he had 2 interceptions against Iowa that game. I think those were his only 2 interceptions in college. I don't remember. But he can do all 3. He's all over the field. Coheed, they do everything. Their musical style ranges from everywhere. They tell stories with their albums. They have heavier stuff. If you want heavier stuff, they've got lighter stuff. Like, they have love ballads. They have piano ballads. They have acoustic sets. They kind of do everything. And they are a little bit lesser known even in the scene because they're prog metal is what they count as. And prog isn't as popular as like thrash metal or heavy metal, metalcore, stuff like that. So they're under the radar great. I think he's going to be an under the radar pick that's going to be really good. And the consistency, he played, I had the number, he played almost every game in college, 38 games in 3 years. And Coheed's released 9 albums, I think is their last one. Close to maybe 12, I can't remember off the top of my head. And they're still performing, they've been around since 99.
I'll give this a 9.5. This is right. This is spot on. I love the analysis. Why ain't you got no YouTube channel breaking down bands, bro?
Earl wants me to make a YouTube channel for video
Yeah.
games, movies, and TV and music, so I'm working on
Yeah.
that. I got to come up with a name. If anybody's got like a fun name for a YouTube channel, let me know, because I'm terrible at coming up with names.
Okay.
I like the comparison, except that he's never done it in the pros.
Which is fair.
I feel like you should compare him to like a college band. Yeah, you know, if you know any.
Okay, a
Does
local
this mean
band.
Swestinger has to be your favorite Brown now?
Yeah, I mean, he might end up being. Like,
Is it
Don't
because
let them talk you out of your talk. Listen,
No,
this your projection. I'm projecting how I
Yeah.
feel it's gonna go.
I mean, if it's basing it on projection, it seems perfect. But we'll see.
is he your favorite because he's white?
yes. No.
Now, mind you, now look, I didn't say that. That was Tyler that said that.
Yes,
that was middle.
he was our white draft pick, so I got to get behind him.
That was middle of the road Tyler. I had nothing to do with that.
I mean, he's a white guy
But,
playing a position that not a ton of white guys play. Could be Vanilla Ice.
If you want, so like, there's a lot of local bands that are really good. Off the top of my head, I know I don't know if they're around anymore, but they were big when I was in high school. Lower 13 was a local band that you could probably compare them to because they've never done it on a big stage.
Band names are great. Lower 13.
I can't believe you even know local local bands. That's amazing.
I go to local shows. My friend Skyler, the one you asked me about,
Yeah.
my big friend,
Yeah.
he plays in several local bands. He does photos for several local bands,
Yeah.
and he goes on tour, I think, sometimes. Like, he's
These-
gone to Michigan and Detroit.
It's a whole nother cult.
Yeah,
dude.
all over the
It's
place.
a different cult.
All right, good.
Yeah, so I know some
and-
local
I
bands.
like this exercise.
You ever been in a mosh pit?
Have I ever been in a mosh
Are
pit?
you
I almost
kidding?
got knocked
He
out during
created
Wage
the
War.
mosh.
I want to go moshing.
He's got mosh pit written all over
Yeah,
him.
no, I've never crowd surfed, though.
I wanna
I've
go
never crowd
moshing.
surfed. So this next one I'm going to have to
Yeah.
explain a little bit more, too,
Oh,
because
boy.
you guys have never heard of Ghost, I'm sure. But David Njoku is the band Ghost. I'm going to tell you why. I really want to like them. They're just okay. They got a good mix of skills. If you looked at them, what do you think they would sound like?
Dark music.
Yeah.
They're pop. They're like almost pop
Really?
rock. Yes.
Oh, hold on.
They have very
Hold on.
Yeah, you know who I'm talking about now, G.
I seen these dudes on Instagram.
Yes.
And they sound like My Chemical Romance or something.
Almost, yeah. They have very pop metal lyrics
And he sounds
with
They
heavy
look-
metal
That
instrumentals.
dude and the first dude looked like some dude off the Jabberwockies or something like
Yeah,
No,
they
you
got-
know who he looks like?
Papa Shango.
Has anybody seen? The only possibility is maybe G. Bush. Maybe Steve, but probably not. Have you ever seen the movie? It was an old kind of horror dystopian movie with Roddy Piper called They Live.
No.
Yeah, they got like
Anybody
a whole
out there who has seen They Live, and if you're probably late 40s or older, it was with Roddy Piper was the star of it, and that's what the aliens looked like, was that guy.
This band is actually really good. They're good.
They're fun, and like I said, I wish I liked them more than I do. Same with Njoku. Like, I wish I liked Njoku more. He probably should be one of my favorite Browns, but I'm not fully bought in. He's really good at blocking, and he's okay at catching. They're really good at having heavy guitar riffs. I don't think their lyrics, they got a gimmicky thing going on. They're very religious. So it's like, but the highs are high with them too. Like when Njoku's on, he's on and he's fun to watch.
They religious?
Yeah,
they
it's a
undertones.
weird gimmick that they do. That guy's supposed to be a pope in his nameless schools. It's weird. It's hard to get into. Their fans are a little odd too. But they put on really good live shows, and I think Njoku puts on a good show when he's on.
And we do, it reminds you, David Njoku is also a ghost because he shows up sometimes and sometimes he doesn't.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And by the way, we do know about Ghost because we're trying to see if 50 Cent gonna put him back on the show to do a prequel of Power. Season 2 coming up.
Have Ghosts been on Power? I haven't.
All right, and
Ghost
next
has
one.
been off Power for years.
All right, the next one is a real easy one. These are all getting a little bit more simple, but Myles Garrett is Avenged Sevenfold for me. Specifically, their lead guitar player, his name is Sinister Gates. They're the best of the best. There's really nobody that can hold a candle to him playing guitar. Listen to any of their solos. Guitar players, if you can learn an
You mean in
Avenged
the
Sevenfold.
metal world? You're not talking about in the. You think this guy is better than some of the great guitar players of all time?
If you put Sinister Gates against like everybody, he's in the top pantheon.
Jimi
I'd say top
Hendrix.
5. Yeah, he's
Now,
up there.
I will
Jimi.
admit, you know way more music than me, but I find it hard to believe that some of these legendary guitarists from the 70s, Jimi Hendrix, some of these,
I will.
that
I would
this,
make an
this
argument
guy
for
with
any
some
of them.
stupid name is.
Hey.
Yeah, that's fair.
This is
Look,
the,
I'm making an argument
his
for any
name?
of them. He goes by Sinister Gates, but they all got weird names in Avenged
Sinister
Sevenfold.
do not disrespect the Todd McShay of metal bands.
All right.
This man ranks them. He
Yeah, you're
watches
right.
he in the film. What are you talking about?
It's hard to have the argument because like I tried to keep it
Led
as mainstream.
Zeppelin and all these
I would put
great
him with
bands.
them. Now, granted, they're heavily influenced by Metallica, so you could make an argument there. But there's really not a whole lot of debates of better guitar
Jovi,
players than
Van
Sinister.
Halen. All right, whatever.
Yeah,
Tim,
no,
you're right.
that's all I'm
Bull-
saying.
Bull
That's my
ain't
comp
here.
for that. Mike, you want to go on to the next one after that?
Yeah.
All right, so the next one is Corey Bjorquez. He's
Yeah.
Nickelback because there's no reason anybody should like Corey Bjorquez as much as you do, and there's no reason that anybody should like Nickelback as much as we do.
This is
but they're
messed up.
unironically one of the best around. They're a
Why
fun rock
do-
band,
That is
and he's a
perfect.
great punter.
This
That's
is
a
beautiful.
10 out of 10. And I don't like the Nickelback slander. I enjoy
I love
Nickelback.
Nickelback. I saw them for my birthday 2 years
I
ago.
don't understand why people just band up and just said Nickelback was trash.
They're great. They're
It's
fun.
funny that you like them because every other guy like you that I've met that's obsessed
they're
with
fun.
music. Hey, this guy I worked with for many years, you know him, Dave Spano.
Yes.
Oh, I know Spano.
You know Spano?
Yeah,
I thought
he
he-
used to do the Browns before he.
I thought he was gone before.
Nah,
you,
he was
but
there.
Dave,
Hilarious.
he was our board op for the radio station for most of the years that Dustin and I were on. He's like you, a big music guy, obsessed with music. He hates Nickelback. It pisses him off anytime somebody brings it up.
I understand
And I
why-
like Nickelback.
I understand why people don't get them because they're very generic, like dad rock, and they're kind of.
I like dad rock. I'm a dad.
but they're fun. They put on a good show,
Yeah.
and they party. I've seen them twice live. I saw them for the first time when I was in 8th grade.
Yeah.
And it was a blast. And then I saw them again for I think my 25th birthday. They were fun. They were at Blossom. They still put on a good show to this day.
Nickelback 02 was killing everything. Here's why they don't. Nickelback was the first rock that actually got to black people. Like by the time it gets to us, people is checking out. They're like, it's way too mainstream.
Rage Against the Machines didn't get you guys?
Them and what's
Tom
the name?
Morello?
It was to do. What did they do the joint with Jay-Z to mix?
Linkin Park.
Linkin Park.
Yep, just saw them live too in May.
Yeah. Shout out.
I actually don't have Linkin Park on this list. There's not enough good Browns players to use a lot of good bands, so we might do this
Fair.
again with Guardians and Cavs at some point.
Listen,
And we got one more before we get
This
to
is dope.
UCSS rank stuff.
Oh yeah,
which I'm
all
very
right.
excited for,
So last one is this one real personal for me. You guys probably won't agree with it, but Nick Chubb is Meatloaf for me. He is the first concert I ever saw when I was 11. Nick Chubb's the first NFL jersey I ever bought, and like they might be gone, but they're never forgotten. That's
Is Meatloaf still alive?
No, he's not. That's why he's gone, but never forgotten.
Jeez.
last
Yeah,
single was
he
in
passed
19
away a while ago, but I love Meatloaf. I love Nick Chubb. Like, and they were what basically got me in. Meatloaf got me into music. Nick Chubb really got me into football. So
Do anything for love, but I won't do that. That's like 1993.
Great song.
I was
93.
my 11th birthday. I got to see them perform Paradise by the Dashboard
You know
Light.
when they play the announcer, there's an announcer, like a baseball
Yeah.
announcer. Do you guys know who that is?
You.
That's Phil Rizzuto. He was announcer for the New York Yankees.
Wow.
He played for the Yankees too. And that's him.
How do
That was
you-
actual calls.
How do you download this stuff? You'd be like, bro, how did you download?
I grew up, even though I wasn't a fan, I grew up watching I didn't have much choice but to watch the Yankees and the Mets. I loved watching baseball.
I was really happy that I got to see them do the whole
Good.
Paradise by the Dashboard Light
Yeah.
skit. Like,
By the
when I was
way,
a kid. It was fun.
Great job, Anthony.
This was one of the
And
best.
real quick, Earl wants
best-
to know, off the
best
dome,
segment.
do you have an MJ Emerson one? Yeah, 10
MJ
seconds.
Emerson comparison off the dome. Actually, I'd probably put them for my Valentine. A band that I really like. They have some hits and misses. Like they've got some up and downs.
MJ Emerson is like a band like the Wallflowers, a one-hit wonder.
Oh wow.
We don't know that yet. He had a really good year and he had a really bad year.
Dang.
Bullet kind of
messed
goes
up.
back and forth. So
Maybe Sister Hazel. Do you know Sister Hazel?
don't know Sister Hazel. Sorry.
Gee, what were you saying
Band
before
that
we
I
get
know
to our
that you-
last
I know a Sister Hazel at my church.